What's up everybody, Teancum here with Sew Yeah Quilting. Today I'm going to show you how to make this awesome twisted ribbon quilt. Let's get started. So let's dive right into our project. I've already gone ahead and pre-cut most of my fabric out here. I have a light, a medium, and a dark, and all three of these are 10-inch squares. Out of the dark, I also have 2 by 8.5 inch strips, and out of the light, I have a 2 by 2 square. So what we're going to go ahead and do is set the square and our strips aside. And we're going to set our dark and our medium fabric aside as well. And we need to do a couple markings on our 10-inch squares out of the light. All we're going to do is mark an X corner to corner on the back side of our 10-inch squares. Just like so. And do it to the other side. We are going to go ahead and mark this X on all of our light 10-inch squares, and we'll be right back. Now that we have our light 10 by 10 squares marked with an X on the back, we're going to pair it with the medium and the dark. So we're going to take one medium and one light and put them right sides together and set them aside. We're going to make a nice stack of our medium and light. And we're also going to do the same with our dark and our light. Exact same process. We are going to, let me slide this out of the way. We're going to take our light with the X on the back, lay it down right sides together on my dark, and we're going to go ahead and set these aside. Now that we've divided this into two piles, we should have a pile that has our light and our medium fabric and our light and our dark fabric. The next process is the same for both stacks. We're going to take one of our little sandwiches here, take it over to our sewing machine, and we're going to sew on both sides of the X. So let me put this in this camera here. So you see my X here, we're going to sew on the right side and the left side on both lines. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Now I'm going to take one for my dark and light side. Now that we've sewn on both sides of our X, we're going to start cutting these out. We're going to lay it down, and the first thing that we're going to do is cut our X that we marked originally. We're just going to do corner to corner here. Which gives us 4 equal triangles. We want to get 8 out of this, so a little pro trick for you. Line these up to make squares, to make 2 squares, and then to cut across corner to corner. Which then gives us 4 there, and 4 here, which is would equal 8. Just like that. So we've got our medium and our lights cut. I'm going to stack these all up and set them aside, and we're going to do it to our dark and our light as well. Let me just show you it one more time. So we're going to cut out our X first. Then we're going to separate these and put them into 2 new squares. Lining up the edges here. And then we're just going to do the exact same thing, cut corner to corner here. And there it is. So I'm going to go ahead and do this to all of my 10-inch squares, and we'll be right back. So the next step is we're going to take our half square triangles that we have and trim them down or square them up to a 4.5 inch square block. So I'm going to use my block lock here. And trim this down to 4.5. I'm already pretty close, but we want to make sure that this quilt ends up square, so it's worth taking the time to do a little extra work here to make sure everything's square. There's my 4.5-inch square. I'm going to set it aside to be ironed, and I'm going to keep doing it, but I'm going to show you again with my medium. There it is. I'm going to go and do this to the rest of my half square triangles, and we'll be right back. Now that we have our half square triangles here, it's time to show you how to construct the block. As you can see here, I have my darks and my mediums, and it's time to show you how to construct this together. I'm going to start with our mediums. We're going to line these up together to make a flying geese. And then with our darks, we're going to line it up to make a ribbon. We're going to go ahead and sew these together. We're going to put right sides together, and sew these together. There's my dark, here's my medium. Now what we're going to do is right sides together, lay the flying geese half right on top of your ribbon, and sew all the way down. Now that we're at this stage, it's time to finish constructing our larger block. What we need to do now is, like I said in the beginning of the video, I had already cut out 2x2 squares out of my light fabric and 2 by 8.5-inch strips out of my dark fabric. And we're going to lay down our 2x2-inch square in the middle. Then we're going to take our 2.5 by 8.5 darks and make a big plus sign. Just like that. Now we're going to finish it with lining up our blocks with one blue side with our dark strip. The thing that we have to make sure of is that our red point here, that none of them face each other, that they're all going in different directions. So the easiest way to do that for me is just to put, starting with my first top right one, going to the right, then we're going to go down to the left, and then we're going to go up, just like that. So the easiest way to construct this is starting from the right side and moving to the left side. So we're going to start with our right side blocks here. I'm going to start with our top one, and I'm going to lay our strip right on top like so, and sew down. Perfect. Now we're in our middle section. Same exact thing, except we're just going to take our strips, line it up with our 2-inch square, and sew down. And just like we did on the right side, we're going to repeat to the left side. Our next step is to finish this construction of this block. We're going to take our center strip, lay it down, line it up to make sure all of our points match, take it to our sewing machine and sew down. Take this over my iron and press this out. So here's what our block is looking like. We need to go ahead and make a bunch more of these, and we'll be right back. So like I said, I went ahead and made a couple more blocks and I got a little carried away. This is what my quilt top is looking like right now. I just got to put on my last straw and I want to show you how to do that. So we're going to lay this down. And the most important part of this quilt is to make sure, I'll show you on this quilt behind me, is to make sure that these lines all match up. So when we're putting our row together, we want to make sure we line it up and take our time to make sure all of our strips are perfectly straight, or else we get a wonky quilt at the end, and that's not what we want. So I'm going to take my time here, I'm going to line it up, and I'm going to pin my seams. So I'm not sure how well you can see on the top camera here, but I'm going to take and pin on the left side of my seam. I'm also going to pin it on the right side of my seam, just to make sure everything is held in place. That way we don't have any wonky strips here. I'm going to do that to all of my strips. I pinned it all together, making sure everything is straight, and we're going to take it over to the sewing machine now. So here it is, our finished quilt top. This is a super fast and easy project to make, and I love the way that these blocks turned out. I'm going to finish up this quilt by just putting a simple 3-inch border all the way around, and then take it over to our in-house longerer to have it finished. If you've liked this video, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. As always, I'm going to leave instructions on how to make this in the description below. My name's Teancum, teaching you how to sew like a pro. We'll see you here next week at Sew Yeah Quilting.